You start the record. All right, welcome. Tuesday of week 6. So as I mentioned, we are going to create a new API. And then from there, basically, so I'm going to create an API. We're going to go through it step by step. I want you guys to ask questions as we come up, but I'm not going to give you guys time to build the API yourself. Instead, you're going to make a copy of my API for you guys is local, basically. So I'm going to create a new API. And actually, I forgot we're in week 6 now. So let me make directory week 6. Actually, I spelled that wrong. Week 6. MKDIR week dash 6. C week 6. All right, cool. So now I'm going to go Rails new, and we're going to create a what kind of API you guys want to create? We can do this all together. What are you guys thinking?
Um,
I don't know. This is all. Uh,
we could do a animal API.
all right, solid. Animals API. I like that. Okay, dash dash API dash dash database equals PostgreSQL. Click enter. Solid, it's all running. Let that go. All right, cool. Now it's done. I can see there's my animals API. Let me open it up. Then from there, let me go and open my terminal. Solid. I can go Rails DB create to create my database. Solid. And let me just turn on my server to make sure that it is working properly. And then let me pull up another tab. This. Go to localhost 3000. Solid. There's a welcome screen. We know we're on the right track. Okay, cool. So before I do anything, I'm gonna go. I don't need to do a git init because there's a git status. I can go git add, git commit, and this is gonna be init or initialize or whatever. And then I can't do a git push. If I attempt to do a git push, it's like, hey, like this isn't being pushed anywhere. It's not connected to a GitHub repository. So I'm gonna have to go here. I'm gonna go github.com/new. This is going to be for you guys' class right there. And this is called the animals API. Make it public, create. And this is already a repository. So we're going to copy this, paste that in. Solid. There we go. And now if I do a git status, everything's pushed up. Go here, refresh the page. All right, cool. Here's our animals API. Cool. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to generate the model, the controller, the routes. We're going to set that stuff up basically. Okay. So let's say I'm going to go Rails generate model. And actually, I want to show you guys a quick little shortcut since you guys are here. So instead of typing out generate, and you guys are only going to know this if you guys listen to the recording, I guess if they're paying attention. So Rails G model, I don't have to type out generate. I could just use G because generate's a long word. Rails G model, and then it's going to be animal. And then an animal, let's say it's going to have species, which is going to be a string, maybe an age, integer, um, maybe it have a name as well. Keep it simple. We can always add on to it later, which is actually one of the next concepts we're going to go through. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple like this. All right, cool. So now that I did that, I can see it created the migration file and the model file. So I can just verify those real quick. Let's go db migrate. Here's my migration file. I have species string, age, integer, name, string. And I can go app, models, animal.rb. Perfect. Does what we expect. All right, so let me go to Rails db migrate. Let me go into Rails console and I'm just going to create an animal. I'm going to go animal equals animal dot create. And let me pull up my schema so that way I know what I need. So we need a species. Species is um, What is a species, guys? I can't think of species right now. Uh, Fish, aquatic animal. I'm just gonna say aquatic right now. Aquatic. It's not a species, but it's okay. It's okay for this. Age is gonna be 10 years old, and name is gonna be cool fish. All right. Create that. We can see we don't have any errors. If I do animal.all, perfect. We can see there's our fish. And I'm just going to reuse this again. And I'm going to say the next species is going to be a land animal. This one's like 30 years old. And this is going to be a cool land animal. I'm not sure. All right. Animal.all. We see there's our two animals. Perfect. And the other thing, real quick, is we can see that I used animal twice. And this is kind of like what we went through yesterday with Junior. Remember what you asking? So I used animal equals animal.create for the land one, and I used animal equals animal.create for the fish one, for the ocean one, whatever. If I type in animal, it's going to be the most recent one that I did because that's when I reset what that variable is. Just wanted to make sure I
Mm.
said that again. Yeah, so it's technically animal is no longer this first one because I effectively reset and reset what the animal variable is equal to. Okay, solid. Okay, so this is a good place to add committing, push my code, get, I mean, not Rails, let's do a get status real quick. Get add, get commit, add the animal model and git push. Solid. After that is done, now let's go ahead and generate the controller. Because once again, the idea right now with this API is yes, we have a model and a database table that we can create animals for. However, I'm the only one that can do that right now. No one else has access to the stuff in my database. The way to give people access to it is to add a route and a controller for it. So I need to add a controller so that way people can make a request to our API to actually get that data. So I'm going to go Rails generate controller animals, and it's going to be animals because that's the object that it's basically the plural version of whatever model it is we're referencing. I'm going to click enter. It created our animals controller. So I can go here, here's the animals controller, and now I can go ahead and create all 5 CRUD actions. And again, if we're ever unsure of what to create, we can always go back to exercises and look at the pin. The pinned one is right here. Here's all the CRUD actions that we're going to need. And so actually, let me go to my routes, and I'm just going to create all of the CRUD actions right now. It's going to be get slash animals, points to the animals controller, hashtag index method. Um, and the other quick note that I'm going to make, and I'm going to make this note again in the future, but I want to say it real quick, is depending on what you're doing, it's probably not going to make sense to create all 5 CRUD actions. So for example, let's say for our users controller, I want to create a users controller because I want to allow users to create, I want to allow customers or people to create a user for our application. Does it make sense for us to allow them to do an user's index? In my head, that doesn't make sense. It's like, why am I going to let all of these users see every other user in the database? I think there are
Mm.
times where that might make sense, but not always, that won't always make sense. In that same exact scenario, or with that same thing in mind, depending on what your application is, it might make sense to have it all 5 CRUD actions, index, create, show, update, destroy. Or maybe it only makes sense to do index and show. Like maybe I only want to give them access to see the data. You cannot edit the data, delete the data, or destroy or anything like that, or create new data, but you can see it. And so that's one thing I quickly want to point out is it's like depending on what it is that your application does, well, and what access you want to give to your users will determine what CRUD actions are you going to create. We've been just going on and just creating all 5 CRUD actions just because it's good practice. But in reality, in a real application, it's like, what CRUD actions does your application need? And so that's kind of the way that I want you guys to think about that. So I'm going to create all 5 just for practice, so that way you guys have it as well. But ultimately, again, it's kind of up to you guys and what it is you guys need. So the next one is going to be the show. So I'm going to go animals. It's a get to slash animals. I spelled animals slash colon ID points to the animals controller show method. The next one's going to be create slash animals. Yeah, I spelled that right. And this is animals hashtag create. And then the last two is going to be update and destroy, which I'm going to do this. This is going to be let's go patch this time. Yesterday I used put, I'll use patch. And this is going to be update. And then this one is going to be a delete. And this is going to be destroy. Solid. So I have all of my routes. Now let's go into the controller. Index animals animal.all and then render JSON animals. Solid. Okay, let's go ahead and test this out before I continue doing a bunch of stuff. Turn my server on. This is another quick little shortcut that you can do. As you guys saw, I've been able to do Rails G instead of generate, and I can also just do Rails S instead of server. For like these longer words, we can just do that. For some of them, not all of them. Like I can't do that for controller, but I can do that for generate. Anyway, let's go ahead and pull up HTTP. I'm gonna go get slash animals. Solid gets all my animals. All right, so we know the index is working. Let's go to show. It's gonna be animal equals animal dot find params colon ID. And then it's gonna be like render JSON animal. And then we can test it out real quick. Slash animal slash one slash animal slash two. Solid. All right, now let's go ahead and do the create. And so you can just be like animal equals animal dot create. And then an animal needs species, age, name. So we're gonna go species colon params species, comma, age colon params age, comma, name colon params name. And then finally we'll render JSON animal. Let's go ahead and test that out real quick. So this is slash animals, and this is going to be a post request. And so we are not going to need any of those. We're going to need a species. Species. Let's say the species is cool species. And we're going to need an age, say 20 years old, and a name, cool name. All right, cool. Let's test this out. Let's click create. Solid. We created. We can see the 200 OK here. We can see the 200 OK there. We can see the ID is the next ID because I only had one and two. We see all of the parameters that we passed in and created an updated ID. Cool. A quick thing I wanted to point out to you guys, and maybe this doesn't sit. Actually, I think this might. So this will probably sit. So the way that we spell these values for the different parameters, this is important. It's important the way we spell it. This value here has to equal this value here exactly. And so what I mean by that is if I put a space here, now this value does not equal this value exactly anymore. And so if I attempt to create one again, we can see now species is null. Species is null because, and actually we can see it here, if we look in here, there's a little space right there. Species space equals cool species. No longer is it just param species, it's params species space. And so if you're ever getting this issue where it's null and you have it all correct here, what I'd recommend you do is look at the parameters that are getting passed in when you're doing a post, when you're doing a create or update or whatever it is. And so, because you can see right there, if you're really, really like looking, you can see that there's a little space there. There's no space in between like age and the quote or name and the quote. It's only this species one. And so that's where I have to delete this extra space there. And then I click send again, and now it works properly. And so that's something that I've run into with other people. And so I wanted to share that with you guys because that's something that's like, it's so annoying to debug sometimes because it's like, I don't know, like, what is it? But it's like, you have to be really, you have to like just kind of really pay attention to like, there's an extra space there. And we can see the next time that I created it right here, we can see species now doesn't have a space. Just wanted to share that quick note. All right, cool. So the crate is updating. Let's go ahead and do the update. And the first thing we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to find the animal. So animal dot find params colon ID. After that, now we can go ahead and update that animal. So it'll be pretty much the exact same thing. So I'm just going to grab that and let's do this. And the only difference is that we're going to add, well, for one, this is an update versus a create. But for two, we're going to add or the original animal's species or the original animal's age or the original animal's name. So that way, basically, we can use the original value if the user doesn't pass in a parameter for the name. And finally, let's just go ahead and render JSON that specific animal. And let's just test it out. I'm going to go update, which I did a patch, I believe. Yeah, I did a patch. Okay, so patch logos 3000. And so this is number 5. I want to edit number 4. And I want to edit number 4 because I remember that's the one that had a null name. Yeah, so there, then species, I mean, the species is null. So let's go ahead and do a patch to locus 3000 slash animals slash 4. And specifically, I want to add a super cool species name or species. Let's click send. Solid. There's a super cool species. And if I do a get request again, just to test out and make sure it worked, solid. There's a super cool species for the one with ID of 4. So we see the update is working. Finally, it's the def destroy. And this one, pretty straightforward. We're going to grab this same exact animal equals animal dot find. Why is everything tabbed in here? Is this tabbed in? This is like tabbed in one too many. Oh, that's why. There you go. I was like, why does that look off to me? There you go. That looks better. Okay, animal equals animal dot find, and then from there it's going to be animal dot destroy, and then finally render JSON. We'll do like a message animal deleted. All right, cool. Let's test this out. So I want to delete number 5. So I'm going to go /5. It's going to be a delete and click send, animal deleted. If I go back and make an index request again, change that back to /animal as a get request. Solid. Now we only have 1 through 4. Perfect. So our application is working as we expect. Now I'm going to go get status, get add, get commit, and I'm going to say implement all 5 CRUD actions for the animals controller. I'll push that up. Do you guys have any questions on anything that I did here or any concepts here? Solid. You guys do, let me know. Okay. So here's what I want us to do next, actually. So I mentioned this idea of forking a application. And so we can see here's my animals API. It has all of the different commits that I just added where I initialized it, I added the model, and I added the controller. So usually, if I wanted to put this on another computer, I'm going to clone it. So I think we've done clone once or twice before. However, the reason I don't want you guys to clone my repository is because I want you guys to make your own version of it. And so that's where we're going to make a fork. So we can see it says fork your own copy of this. So technically, it's no longer going to be CSG Live July's. It's going to be Matt Loggins or Junior O'Brien's one instead. Like it's going to be under your account. It's not going to be under CSG's, like your class account anymore. And so if I wanted you guys to continue, if I wanted us to all work on the same repository, I would have you clone it. So for like a group, we're going to do a group project later this week. And so technically, we're going to, between your team, you guys are going to clone whomever created the first, like the repository. You guys are going to clone it because I want you guys to work all on the same project. However, for us, we're all going to be working on our own versions of it, like technically our own applications in a sense. So that's where I want you guys to fork it. So that's the difference between fork versus clone. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So with that note, I'm going to share this with you guys. The first thing I want you to do is go to the animal API, fork it. And so when you fork it, it's going to look something like this. And I'll just show you guys what it looks like. I'll do it. So that there. Okay, cool. I'm just going to click fork and it brings me here. And so now I can select, for you guys, this is just going to be, just leave it as yourself. For me, I could theoretically select if I wanted to go somewhere else, but I can see this looks kind of similar to the creating a repository, where basically I can call it whatever I want. And now I can click create fork. And so now we can see it's creating a version of this animals API, but it's under Leon Shimizu. This is my personal account. This is no longer under the what's it called CSG's one. We can see it says it's up to date with it, but this is different. This is my own version of it. This is no longer that other version that we were just looking at. Um, yeah, so just wanted to show you guys that real quick. So now let me go back. Uh, which one was it? So this one. This one right here. Okay, repo, animals API. All right. Oh, I already had that thing. Okay, fork it, get it running locally. So to do that, you're gonna have to do your Rails DB create, Rails DB migrate, Rails server, and then from there, after that, yeah, go to local host 3000 to make sure it works. And then from there, I want you to turn it off and create two animals, either in Rails console or um, with the create action by making a post request. Either way. And then from there, after that, then that's where I want us to stop. So this is what I want you guys to do right now. So basically, you're gonna go to the link right here, fork it, get it running locally by doing the following. And then from there, I want you to create two animals, and you can do it in Rails console or with the create action by creating a post request. It's up to you on which one you want to do. All right, cool. Yes, Junior. Sorry, I didn't see your hand.
So man, I guess maybe I just don't have a full understanding of the DB create and the DB migrate. So when we do that, so we fork the code
Hmm.
or the API, and so now it goes into our GitHub repository.
Correct.
And then so when we get it run locally, how does it go from GitHub to our computer?
Yeah, yeah. So really what you can think of it as is like, let's say that I had this file that I put on Google Drive. And then from there,
Mm,
then I send you, like I tell you to make a copy of it. Don't like use that file, but make a copy of it. And you made a copy of it, and then you just put that copy on your computer. Same exact thing. That's exactly what you're doing pretty much, where I put my files up in Google Drive, and then now
mm.
you guys are making a copy of it, and you guys are basically going to take those files in their exact same state that I had them, but your version of it, and put it on your computer. That's pretty much exactly what you're doing. And so I
I
think
see.
confusion can come from though is when you do that, the database that I have locally, because technically if I go into Rails console and I go animal.all or
Mhm.
animal.count, whatever, I have all of these animals. I have four animals here. The database is not in one of these files and folders. The database is on my computer. It's on my computer and it's running when I did the Rails DB create. When I did Rails DB create, that's what created the database on my computer. So that's why when you guys fork it or clone it or whatever, you guys have to make your own version of this database that I created already. Because as I mentioned, there's no like file here that holds the information that I did here. The information that
Oh,
I have here is on my computer. It's not something that I can give you a copy of.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing that. Okay. So when the database create it Okay. So when we I guess send up our APIs to GitHub, it doesn't include the items that we've created then.
Correct. Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it only includes the code. And so we're going to get to something actually where you can kind of save the state of your database, kind of, but it's not, you'll never be able to like just fully push up your full database to like GitHub because it's just like the database is technically it's not like file IO when we like literally had a file that just had those like our code. The database is like it's like a server, it's like a process in itself that is running on your computer. And so there are ways in the future for like for example, let's say most places like I have a database online. So like when I deploy code online, like I want users to use it, I have a database there and I could technically make a copy of that instant, like in that instant, I can click, okay, click copy, and it's gonna make a copy of everything there. And I can grab that copy and use that. However, that's a little bit different. And also to do that for like 4 items right here, like that's just like it's overkill. And so technically there kind of is a way that you can do it, but it's just to do it with for what we're doing, it's like overkill.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I want to say like right now, like there isn't a way to simplify it. It's like we cannot like yeah, we can't do that. Yeah. And that's exactly why we have to do the migrate as well. Because technically you have to create the database, and then from there
Mhm.
you have to run all of the different migration files to set up your database to have the same structure as my database. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So one, it's so when we create the database, it's creating just a very generic database. And then when we migrate it, we're giving the parameters of how that database is going to look like.
Exactly. So you create the database and then you give it the structure. The migrate is kind of giving it the structure of the database. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Okay.
That clears it up a little bit.
Yes, yes, yes.
Solid, solid. I like that. Okay, cool. So you guys are good to share your screen. You guys can get working on this.
Let me oh there. Okay.
Oh, I forgot. I missed this step in what you guys have to do. So after you guys fork it, you guys have to clone your own repository. And so I'm so sorry, I completely forgot. Like forking it doesn't just automatically put it on your application. So here, I'll add a couple of steps here. I was like, wait, I never told him to do that. Clone it, git clone URL. Make sure it's in the folder you want it to be in, not in a repository. Okay. Do you guys want me to share my screen and walk through this real quick? Yeah. Okay, cool. Let me share my screen. All right. You guys can stop sharing your screen for a second. Or you guys can leave it sharing. It's up to you guys. Whatever. Okay. So yeah, I just added a note right here. So you're gonna clone it first. So what this is gonna look like. So I can have multiple, like I can have the same application like as many times as I want theoretically on my computer. I just have to have it in a different place. Like I cannot clone an animals API into the week 6 folder because there's already an animals API in there. So I'm going to put it
Oh,
somewhere else, for example. So I'm going to grab, so the first thing I'm going to do, this isn't my fork. Actually, here, I'll do the forked version. Beyond Shih Or can I see forks here? All right, cool. I can. I can see the existing forks. All right. So here's my forked version. And so now I'm going to click on this green code button. And then from here, we can see local. I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to touch anything. And I'm just going to click copy to clipboard. And then now I'm going to pull up my terminal. And I made a note here to make sure you're in the folder that you want it to be in, not in a
mm,
repository already. And so I'm going to go back to my terminal. And I know that I'm not going to put it in animals API because that's the animals. I cannot put a repository in a repository. And this is the animals API. The other thing is I know that I'm not going to put it in this folder because I already have an animals API. So I'm not like it's going to be like, hey, are you sure you want to have that? You want to delete it? Like that's already you already have the thing. So I'm going to go outside another level and I'm just going to go into week 5. Why not? Whatever. For you guys, it might be projects or whatever, whatever it is you want it. So I'm going to go git clone, then that URL, and I click enter. And then now I can go ls and I can see that there is my animals API. So I can cd into animals API, code space period, et cetera, from there. And then I would do my Rails DB create, migrate, all that stuff. Yeah. So really all you guys need to do is clone it. And then from there, after you clone it, then you're going to actually get it started and all that stuff. Yeah. All right, cool. So you guys are good to, yeah, go and get started on that. Ask any questions if you guys have questions. And then I'm just gonna get a drink of water real quick.
hey, Matt, did he just when you get into the right folder, he just pasted the HTTP address, right? That's all you do? Or
Um,
did he write clone or he just types in the address?
I was just about to ask him.
The same thing?
Yeah, I was just about to ask him the
Okay.
same thing.
Very sorry, what
Uh,
happened?
Leon, so when we get into the folder that we want to,
Yes.
do we paste the email or the HTTP address, or did we have to put clone in front of it? Or
Yes. So you put git clone and then that.
okay, there we go.
So git clone and then that URL. Yep.
It's get clone or git clone.
Git clone, as in like Git and GitHub.
Oh, okay, git clone. Got it. And then the email address. Okay.
Yeah. There you go. Yep. Working for both you guys. The one thing for you,
Yeah.
Matt, is just note for you, this is in the root directory of your computer, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I just want you to note that this is in the root directory of your computer. So like this is like your desktop. Like a lot of my stuff I put in my desktop, or you can put in like projects or whatever. It really doesn't matter. But I just wanted you to note that. That's where it's at. Yeah, there's your Animals API. Do you want it to be there or do you want to move it?
Um, can I move it? So will it have to be um
So there's two ways you can do this. There's actually technically a
is it
lot.
the RM-RF?
Okay, there's three ways now that you said that. You can delete it and reclone it, or there's actually a command that you, well, I want you to get the full Mac experience. Do open space period. Okay, so that opens up Finder wherever you're at within VS Code. I mean, within the terminal. So in the same way code space period opens up VS Code wherever you're at, open space period opens up Finder. And so now we can see there, there's your Animals API. So you can just drag it into projects or whatever. There you go. All right, cool. Now you can close it and then do an LS again. It's not there anymore.
Oh, okay.
That easy, Matt. I don't know what to say. Welcome to the Mac side, man. You're not going back, I swear.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Then I just follow the Rails DB create, then
Yep. So it's just a regular API from here on out, and it's just getting it started like normal.
okay.
I'm gonna grab one more thing. I'm gonna grab an orange real quick. I'll be back. Real quick, Matt. I recommend that you close this VS Code window and you go back to your terminal. And then I recommend you do turn it off and do code space period. So basically, I recommend you open up VS Code with only this API. When you open up VS Code there, it had like everything theoretically, but now it only has this API. Yeah, there you go. So now it's just the Animals API. You can continue. And so you could feel free to continue using that other terminal, or you can open up the VS Code terminal. That's your preference, whatever your preference is there.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna add one more thing to the exercise. Basically, I want you guys to create another model of your choice. It could be pertaining to animals or not. It really doesn't matter. After you guys have created, like tested and created new animals, I want you to create another model and controller of your choice. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll write it. I'm gonna write it down in the exercise, but yeah, that's basically what I want you to do.
Sir, how do I zoom out?
Command minus. Did it work? Okay,
Oh,
there you go.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sir, do
Yes.
we also have to use the CRUD actions for the animal API or
So you can if you want to, but for this scenario, because you guys saw me doing it, I don't mind you guys not testing out each individual one right now. As long as you got it working and you got like I can see you did the index, for example. And so now what I'd like for you guys to work on is create a new model and controller of your choice. And then from there, um, just do the index. Okay, I only want you guys to do the index and create. You guys don't need to update, destroy, whatever. And I'm gonna note that. Create.
okay? Thank you.
Yep. Only the index and create CRUD actions and test it out. Yeah. Hold up, Matt. Before you continue, so I don't want you to create a new API. Just create a new model. Just a model and a controller. Yeah. So yeah, you can go ahead and go back into the animals one, and you can do food. Trying to think of what you would name it. I guess you could do food and foods, honestly. It's like food is the model, foods is the controller, technically, if you wanted to. So just be careful, Matt. So you created it. However, right now this food item has no attributes. And that's fine. Um, so what you're gonna do, trying to think of the easiest way to do this. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to the migrate folder. And we're just gonna delete that file because you haven't ran Rails DB migrate yet. Sure. I had it. It was that right there on the bottom. Right there. Right there. Go to there. Delete the second file, the one that you just did just now. Yeah, delete that. Double click it with two fingers, or like tap it with two fingers, like tap the trackpad. Like you have to, I don't know, like click or whatever. I don't know. I swear that I'm not my. Yeah, if you click it with two, I just okay. There you go. Now delete on the bottom. Okay, and then also I want you to delete the food model. And then you're basically going to run this command again, but you're going to give that food some attributes. Yeah, right there. Delete that. Okay, now give it some attributes. Yeah. What is a, yeah, I don't know. Keep it simple. It has a name. Maybe, I don't know. It has a style. I don't know. Whatever you want. Keep it simple. You don't need to like overcomplicate it. So Junior, you're close, but you're kind of mixing a few things together. So for one, you're trying to generate a controller, but it's singular. And then also you're giving the controller some attributes, which seems like you're trying to generate the model. And then also you
Oh,
parentheses.
oh, yeah, because I'm trying to generate the model. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I think I got mixed up on my screen here. Yeah,
No
that's right.
worries.
So
Model. Yep. And then from
the
there, just
model,
delete the parentheses. And so it'll
the
just be a
model,
space. Yeah.
oh,
But
oops, model, and the model is always singular.
correct.
Yes.
And so technically, I think you're going to create like a geographies controller, which just obviously doesn't sound right, but to keep attention, that's what we're going to call it.
Maybe location or something like that. Or I don't know what I was thinking. I was just thinking I
I
was
mean,
like
why don't you do Rails generate model location, and then you can do a locations controller. That to me sounds more like regular
that
English.
makes sense. location,
Hmm.
or wait, capital, location, create the animal, the continent, and yeah, there, yeah, that okay,
I like that.
okay.
That's fine.
So when this thing comes up, this is basically asking me basic DB migrate. Is that
Yeah,
basically what this is asking me to
that's
do?
that's what it's gonna do. And I don't know why I've only seen it pop up on yours. No one else is mine doesn't do that. I don't know why. Yours is like a little more like I don't know, like it wants to help you out a lot more. I don't know. Like I don't get those helpful things. Solid.
So here, she's locations. Oops. Yep. Yep. Okay.
So Matt, it's not super intuitive, but when you're generating the model, there's no commas.
Hmm. Geographies?
What's the name of the model that you created? Because it's going to be plural of whatever the name of the model that you created.
Nations. There we go. Yeah, yeah. There we go. But lowercase. Yeah.
Yes,
Location. And then
that's it.
okay. All right. So then I create the controller, and the controller from there is the routes.
The routes and the controller is what's going to determine, yeah, it's going to, yeah, where the what it does, I guess makes sense. Like, yeah,
Here. But before I made that controller, I could have inputted the data already into the database.
you could have done Rails console because you already created the model in the database table. You could have used Rails console to do it.
Okay. But if I do the controller with the routes, then I could do it either through the HTTP PI or through the Rails console.
Correct.
All right, got it.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Matt, the way I want you to think of that is I'm going to create the database to like just give the place somewhere to go or like create the database in general. And then from there, whenever you create a new model, you need to update the database to have the table for that model, to like the structure for that model in a sense. And so that's why you're going to do Rails DB migrate. So whenever you create a new model, you're going to have to migrate the database to update it with that model, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering how I was like, oh, it already exists.
Yeah,
And
because
then
you created it already. Before you started the application, you had to do Rails DB create.
okay, thank you.
Is there?
I wanted to try this because I saw you do this yesterday. I wanted to just so these are all the routes that I wanted, and then what was it?
It's Command D.
Control Command D.
Yeah,
Command
so you
D.
have to select whatever value it is you want. For example, the whole animals thing, and then do Command D, Command D, and then you just keep doing it until you get all of them that you want to have, if that makes sense.
Oh, I know this is cheating right here, but
I mean,
I really
it's to, it's to help you be more productive.
Oh man, I'm doing this wrong. Okay, so
So you have,
highlight.
yeah, highlight, and then you would do it, and then you have to use the arrows. You cannot use the cursor like your mouse anymore. If you use the trackpad or mouse, then you're gonna stop it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so it's a little bit finicky. So like yeah, I'd say highlight that and then now do
And D.
Command D, or basically click D again, and then again,
Okay.
and you keep doing it until you have them all. Okay, cool. So now I want you to click like the right arrow
The right arrow.
one
Okay.
time. Okay, cool. So now we can see all of your cursors are right after the S. So now you can
Yeah.
like delete or whatever it is that you want to get it to wherever it is that you want it, whatever you want to do. Because now they're all at the exact same place.
Like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Solid. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna let that one soak in.
Yeah. That's really just a
And
nice step.
yeah, the right arrow keeps jumping. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then when I'm done with that, now I gotta get make the controllers. One time. Only one time.
Sir. So since I made the model
Yes.
like pet store or pets pet store, does
Hmm.
it have to be the same for the controller or it could be a totally different name?
Technically, you can name it whatever you want, but for the convention, you're going to name it whatever's the plural version of whatever your model was. So if your model was pet store,
So it'll be pet stores.
exactly.
And then this one would have to be pet stores as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So your route looks right already. That index route looks perfect. Or yeah, slash pets goes to pet stores, hashtag index. Yeah, that looks good.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. I think if I was to give any feedback, it would just be slash pets would be slash pet stores, technically, but slash pets is fine. Because it's like you don't have a pet model, you have a pet stores model. So Junior, that's where you have to be careful.
Yeah.
I do it all the time because sometimes like this case matters. And so you cannot like have different cases. Yeah, because some of them are lowercase, some of them are upper. And
So in this case, it's better to just manually do it, right?
yeah,
Just
it'd be
at
safe.
least, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing that, nah, yeah, I'd say that. Yeah. Yeah. I'd say it's safer just to do it that way.
So when I make the index, is it gonna be um
What is your
pets
model? What is your,
equals okay. So pet stores.
yes, sir. Pet store. And the capital S. Actually, why don't you go to your pet store model? I can see the file down there. Go to it and see what it says. So that's the syntax that you're gonna need. So it's no underscore. It's just gonna be pet store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Nice, Junior. I like the way you figured that out.
The that plural thing, it always
Yeah.
capital. Yeah. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
just see that one's just repetition, honestly. The rhyme or rhythm with that one is like it's kind of weird. Yeah. I'm gonna give you guys a few more minutes on this. We'll take a quick break, a 10-minute break, and then we are gonna move on to validations. Hey Matt, go ahead and for now, just for now, because I'm gonna call the I'm gonna put us on break soon. Yeah, go ahead and comment that out. And just I want you to test out the index and just the create just for now. Just go ahead and test those out in HTTP and make sure they're working. And because for today's lesson, those are going to be the two important ones for us. Okay. So it says the weird thing for me, Matt, is that this is showing up on the index, but basically there's a syntax error. And so it says line around line 17. So let's go to line 17 of your pet stores controller. Let's go and what do you think's missing there? There's something missing there. And specifically it says syntax error, unexpected local variable method, expecting like a parentheses or something. I don't know. You don't need a parentheses. I'm gonna give you that hint. Yep, there you go. Okay, go ahead and go back to HTTP. Your index is working, so now test out your create and just make sure the create's gonna work.
Oh, which one do I use for create again? Is it uh
Let's take a look at the
oh,
Slack. Let's take a look at the thing.
oh yeah, I didn't make it yet.
Let's take a look at your routes or your Slack or whatever.
Wait, I didn't make it yet. It'll be
So I want you to take a look at the routes above and see if so what you have there is mostly right for the create, but there's something that's wrong in here.
oh
So
the
never mind the show. I want you to do a create. So just index and create. How would you make this one the create? You can
Hash tag.
continue what you're doing. But my
Oh,
question is, what type of request does a create do?
oh, it's a post.
There you go. And if you're ever not sure, obviously you can reference this, but also in Slack, I pinned that thing so that way you guys can always see that cheat code.
Hmm.
Okay, there you go. Good catch there.
Uh, it'll just be the same thing as like the Rails console.
Yep. So whatever the value there is that you want it to be, some breed,
Okay.
Shih Tzu, whatever it is you want.
Do I also have to add quotations or?
No, no quotes, no nothing like that.
Okay. And
Solid.
then I just go back to.
Index real quick, just to make sure it works, or just to see that it was created there.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So let's go and take a pause here. Looks like everyone has an index and created. That's what matters right now. The update, destroy, show. If you guys want to do that, feel free, but really, for what we're doing, all we need is an index and create. So let's go and take a 10-minute break. We'll come back at 7:38 and we're gonna move on to validations. All right, welcome back, everybody. Solid, solid, solid. All right, so you guys are good to stop sharing your screen for now. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna go through is this idea of a validation. Okay, so a validation, what is a validation? So I guess the first problem that I want us to kind of think of is right now, whether we're in Rails console or if we're in using like the server and doing HTTP or whatever. And for this example, I'm going to use HTTP. So I'm going to create an animal, host, as all this stuff. Let's make sure it works. All right, solid. We can see it works. However, if I don't pass in anything, it it's creating. Like there's no issues with it creating. So technically, we can create an animal with no species, no age, and no name, which that isn't ideal. If you think of the way that most websites or applications work, when you're filling it out, like there's certain information that is mandatory that you have to have in order for it to work. So for example, when you're creating a user for like some application or some website, can you create a user without like a name, for example? No, right? So you can't create a user without a name. However, right here, we're obviously able to create an animal or technically whatever. We'll say user, for example, without a name. So basically, the issue is that we don't have any validations. So basically, a validation is a way that we can enforce that, hey, before something is created, something has to be true. So for example, name cannot be blank. Age cannot be negative. Like we can be super specific. It's like maybe it's like email has to contain an at symbol if we really wanted to. Like there's so many different validations you can use, but the basic idea is it's like before something gets saved to our database, we're going to ensure that the data looks a specific way. It has to pass these validations before it can be officially created. So here's where the model is going to come in. So now this is going to be the first time we're going to touch the model. So I have the app models animal.rb, and here's the model. So for example, and I'm gonna add a validation. So a validation is going to start with validates. So this is the syntax to start a validation. And then from there, the next thing that we're going to write is what specific attribute are we referencing? So for example, for me, I want to make sure that name has to be present. A user cannot create an animal unless name is there. So I'm going to say validates name, and then I'm going to say comma, presence, colon, true. So basically, I want whenever you create an animal, I want to validate that the name is present. It has to be present. So now that I updated the model, I have to restart my server. So I'm going to go Control C, return it on. And so now when I try to create an animal, we just saw this was working. I'm going to try to create it again. And so we can see there's an issue here. Nothing's saved. It didn't, and I know even though it says 200 okay, nothing technically saved. And so really what's going on here, if I go here, and so I'm going to go to this create. So this is technically what I'm running. And maybe actually this will be easier to see in Rails console. Let's do this in Rails console. Rails console. So we added this validation. So I'm going to go, where's my animals? There, animal equals animal.create. Just to show you guys that it does work, I'm going to click enter. There's my animal. We can see it has an ID, created at and updated at. So now I'm going to try to create another one, but I'm not going to include a name. So I deleted the name. I'm going to click enter, and we can see we don't see this like transactions, basically it talking to the database. And also we can see it does not have an ID. It does not have a created at and updated at. So our animal, basically, it was not created. And so what I'm going to do so that way we can kind of see the better error is there's this thing called a bang. Basically it's an exclamation point, but the technical term is I believe it's called a bang. And basically it's like, hey, if it fails, tell us why. I want to see the error. Right now, if this fails, which it did, it's not telling us that it failed. As soon as I add this exclamation point and now I click enter, now we can see here's the actual error of what happened. Validation failed, name can't be blank. So now we've officially added our first validation that basically we have to have a name when we're creating an animal. And so now as soon as I go name equals some name, click enter, now we can see it worked properly because I added the validation. And so in that same sense, I'm going to go back to Rails server. I'm going to go to my animals controller and I'm going to add that same exclamation point. I'm just going to add an exclamation point, which stands for the bang. It's basically, it stands for bang. I don't know what it stands for, but basically it is called the bang. I'm sorry. So now I'm going to go to HTTP and I'm going to try to create this animal again, but not include anything. Click send. Perfect. Now we have the actual validation error. Here's the validation failed. Name can't be blank. That's because I need to include a name. So as soon as I add the name back, now we can create, and we see there's the ID, there's a create add update, etc. So that's all from this one line right here. And then technically we're adding this exclamation point for the bank. But does this idea make sense with you guys? Solid. So I'm going to add one more validation that to me kind of makes sense to have. And then from there, I'm going to have you guys try it out for your animal class. And then from there, I want you to look up or I want you to add some validations for whatever model it is that you created and you guys were testing out. That's why for me, the index and the create were the only two actions that I wanted you guys to create because to me, the other ones is just extra right now. The index and create are the only ones we need. So for example, I'm going to go validates and then it's age, comma, presence, colon, true. But then I also want to have another validation. I'm going to say it numerically, numericality, numericality. And then I'm going to say it has to be greater or equal to 0. Let's try this first. I want to make sure the syntax works, and then we'll try it out. So I need to restart my server. So the first thing, if I have it there, it should fail. Perfect. Age can't be blank, and age is not a number. All right, cool there. So if I add in an age, solid, it works. What if I make this -1? Okay, -1. What is the syntax for this? And honestly, if I'm not sure the syntax, I'm literally gonna go here. I'm gonna look up Rails syntax for creating a validation that prevents negative numbers. See what it says. All right, cool. Here we go. Your attribute name, numericality, greater than or equal to 0. Pretty sure this is what I had, but let me grab this. Comment that out. And my attribute is age. Okay, so this one adds in a message as well. Is this how exactly what I had? Oh, it removed the presence true. Okay, let's try this out. Let's verify this works first. HTTP, click send. Oh. All right, cool. There you go. Age can't be negative if I don't have anything. Technically, yeah, technically 0 is, I guess it's treating 0 like nothing. Nil is kind of negative in a sense. And just to see that it works. All right, cool. There we go. Now it works. So yeah, we can also add a custom message. So my issue with my syntax was that I needed to remove the presence true. It's one or the other, and this does presence true as well, I guess. And just to verify, let me restart my server, test it out one more time. Well, we can see it works. As soon as I add -1. Okay, what am I doing differently here? Greater than or equal to 0.
I think you might have to put the than greater underscore than.
Oh,
That's the only thing I see that's different.
you are 100% right. Yeah, you are so right. Thank you for that. Okay, let's try it again. Solid. There we go. Thank you very much, Junior. Okay, let me fix it in my note. I do have that in my notes. I just didn't, I wasn't looking at my notes properly. Okay. Well, good to know. Okay. Anyway, so I basically want you guys to add these exact validations in your animal model. And then from there, whatever other model it is that you have, I want you guys to add some validations for that model and then test creating it. And the other thing you could do is add this exclamation point here. This is something we're going to do right now, but in the future, there's a nicer way to handle this. And we'll explain why when we get there. But I just want to share that. This is something that we're only going to do for now. But you can add the exclamation point or the bang when you're creating to actually see the error. Um, yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. We'll go Slack, exercise, add the validations to the animal model. And so the validation is going to look something like that. And then from there, add the bang, which is just an exclamation point, create action either in the controller or when you create in Rails console. Test it working and test breaking it. And from there, add validations to your custom model and test it out. Yeah. And so as you guys saw, like if I'm not sure, if I wanted a specific validation that I'm not sure of, I'm just gonna look it up. Like there's so much resources online that you can use. And so it gave me the exact syntax that I needed. So, and it even says your attribute name, so I just changed that to whatever attribute. So if there's a specific thing, like let's say I had email, and like I want to make sure that the email contains at codeschoolofguam.com. Like you can kind of make a custom, you can make a custom validation if you really wanted to. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. There are these basic ones that we're using, but there are also like you can get really complex with it. All right, cool. So on that note, you guys are good to share your screen and try it out. Also, I just shared in Slack some common validations that you guys could use, like presence true, uniqueness, length, format, numericality, custom validations. So you guys can take a look at that when you're doing your own.
Sir, for this, will it be gets?
Oh shoot, I was talking the whole time. I didn't know it was muted, Matt. My fault. I was saying, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do here?
Oh, um, I was gonna test out the um what do you the the validates name.
Got you, the validation. So the validations, the way that you're going to test that is those only run for creating. So
So it'll
you're
be
create.
post.
Is that which type of request do you do for creating?
Post.
Sounds good to me.
And then it'll be hmm,
So what is a post request? What does the route look like for a post request?
hmm, hmm. Oh, it'll be okay.
There you go. Yeah. So test that out.
Oh, I because I thought I had to put the ID for it.
So tech for create, it's just going to be whatever the next ID is. Because
Hmm.
it's just creating a new one basically. And so it's like if you have 10, it's going to be 11. Yeah. So you're not
Okay.
updating. If updating is a different story where yeah, you have to tell it which one do you want to update. For this one, it's just create.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, how do I how do you add another attribute?
What do you mean?
Like, because I wanted to because for the one I made, the pet store one,
Mhm.
I didn't add like a price, and I was gonna try out the like the custom validations. Like price must be like sensible.
Got you. I'd say to keep it simple, we're not gonna we're not gonna do adding attributes or editing them or just yet. So I'd say use age because age is gonna be a number just like price. So I'd say use
Okay,
age for now. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
No worries.
Hmm. Um, so for this, for if I try to do the custom one,
Hmm.
how would I how would I type this out? Would it because it says like I'm reading the example, it says like validate price must be sensible with a private method that sets errors dot add price is too high if some condition fails.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's say I try to do like um age is age is too high, age is too low, if that makes
So
sense.
yeah, by custom method, basically we can provide within this model. So I'm gonna say this, but we're not gonna do custom validations just yet. Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, because I don't want us to overcomplicate it. But basically, we can add custom methods in here that we can use for the validation. Basically, is kind of what it's saying. Yeah. So basically, like in between after line three, theoretically, you click enter and you're like def, like some custom method or whatever, some custom validation method or whatever. And then from there, it's going to be like you're going to validate and you're going to call that method. So it's going to call the method and it's going to run that validation kind of thing. Kind of is the way. So we won't do that just yet. I'd say test this out first, make sure this works. And then I'm going to show you guys a few things with regards to this. And then, yeah, we can kind of go from there.
Okay.
And Matt, so the issue there is that it wants you to use curly brackets instead of parentheses. So yeah, so that's syntax error, unexpected label. It's confused on the validation in the animal model. So yeah, oh, it looks like you are using it. Oh, there. Yeah, yeah, that one. Okay, cool. There you go. Yeah. So now try creating a pet with and without, or like basically make it fail, make it succeed, etc. Great job, Matt. You got that. Look at that. Looking like a developer right there. All right, so try the create. So Matt, I see it's working, but I want you to add the exclamation point, that bang operator, to your create action. So that way when it fails, you can see what the error is. So basically after the E in create, before that, yeah, right there, put the exclamation point, and then now go back and make it fail. So I want you to like remove whatever. Yeah, there you go. That's fine. There you go. And so we can see age is not a number because you're not passing in an age. So basically, you're failing because of that error specifically. And so that's what the exclamation point does, is if you don't have the exclamation point, it's going to fail, but it's going to kind of fail silently. If you add the exclamation point, that bang operator is going to be, hey, no, if it fails, tell me exactly why in like a really loud way. Yeah. Junior, is yours working good? Sorry, I haven't seen it. Okay. Making sure. Okay. Solid. Give you guys a couple more minutes on this, and then we're gonna move on to the next thing. Actually, okay, I think we're good here. Let's go ahead. You guys can.
Yo, Leon, sorry, I just jumped on.
Oh, you're good, Chico. Um, okay. We've went through good amount of what is everything that we went through? Let me look at the exercise. Validations. Yeah, really validations is the main thing actually. Okay. So we'll do a quick Kiko, you're there, right? We'll just do a quick run through of validations real quick, and then I want to
Yeah,
show. Okay, cool. Or actually, I'm gonna go through this next thing with Matt and Junior, and then I'm gonna pull you into a breakout room and we can go through it together. So let's do this real quick. So that way I'm gonna give them an extra to try out real quick. Or I'm gonna show them this and then give them an extra to try it out because it kind of just builds upon what we just did. All right, so let me share my screen. This portion. Okay. So right now, do this, this. So right now we've been using, or we added the two validations. I have the same one as you guys, and we can see that this does fail. If I do it, actually right now we're using the exclamation point. So right now with the validation that I added, if I don't have an exclamation point there, or I don't have anything there, and I try to create, we can see this is kind of misleading to me. It's misleading because it says 200 okay. When we see 200 okay, it's like, okay, it was successful. However, created at and updated at and the ID are all nil. It's null, and that means that to me, it's like it didn't go through successfully. So that's where I'm going to add in the bang operator or the exclamation point. So that way now when I add this, then it's like, hey, no, if this doesn't create properly, tell me exactly why. This is like, hey, be super explicit. That's what this exclamation point does. So cool. So now we can see it gave us this really loud error, and it says exactly what's wrong. Age must be greater than or equal to 0. Okay. So now as soon as I add in like 10, click send, perfect. Now we can see it works. And so this exclamation point basically made it so it give us a really loud error. And this, it's nice to use. However, in the real world, we do not want those loud errors. I'm sure you guys have been to like a website where when it errors out, it's like a really loud error. By loud, it's like really large and like you can't do anything else. Like you just see that error, which sometimes is good, but sometimes that's not the best user experience. You don't always want a super loud error. And so this is one way we can handle it. But another thing we can do is we can add proper error handling. If you remember in Ruby, we did a bunch of error handling with like the begin rescue, and we're not going to use begin rescue here, but what we can do simply is instead of doing a create, we can do a dot new. So if we were, and actually I'm going to show you guys this in Rails console first. So let's go into Rails console. I'm going to go Rails console. And if I do animal, I'm going to show you guys the animal.create first. So here's the dot create. We can see that works. It creates the animal. However, if I do the same thing and instead of create, I'm going to do new. So dot new is going to initialize the animal, but it's not going to actually create it. So if I go animal equals animal dot new, we can see now if I type in animal, we can see it didn't actually create the animal. It only initialized it. In order to actually save it, I have to go animal dot save. And now we can see it says true. It properly saved it. And so now if I type in animal, we can see there's an actual ID and there's a created at and updated at, which is exactly what we'd expect if we're creating an animal. So with that being said, we can use this dot new and the dot save to kind of add a little bit better error handling. And what I mean by that is we're going to do this. So now that I'm doing dot new, I'm initializing it. I haven't actually created the animal yet. So now what we can do is we can say if animal dot save. So if the animal properly saves, then do something else, do something else. So we're going to say if the animal saves, then render JSON that animal. Basically, render that animal. Do what it would normally do. If it fails, then Rails provides us this cool thing where we can go render JSON animal, and then we can say render the errors for whatever happened to that animal. And so let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So now if I go back here and if I create, let's just make sure it works. Solid, it works. If I change this to -1 and click create, now we can see it isn't allowed error anymore. However, we do see this nice error here. Age must be greater than or equal to 0. So perfect. So this is, to me, this is a cleaner way for us to properly give an error without giving a super loud, robust error. I think there's a time and place to use the exclamation point, but for me, the exclamation point or that bang operator is mostly going to be used for debugging. In the real world scenario, I'm going to do something more like this. And actually, we can actually improve it a little bit more. So the other thing to me that's a little bit like kind of deceiving in a sense is that it still says 200 okay. So we could actually tell it, hey, no, give it a different, give it like like a 422 or give it a different error basically. So I could add like comma and I can say the status equals unprocessable underscore entity. Now, if I do it again, click send. Now we can see this is actual, like this is an error. No longer does this say 200 okay. Because if I see 200 okay, I'm thinking, oh yeah, it went through. However, it didn't. And so this to me is what I would do like in a real world scenario. I'm going to initialize the animal and I'm going to check, I'm going to add a condition to the save. If it saves, then render it normally. Perfect, that's fine. However, if it fails, then tell me what the errors are and give me a proper error status. Does this make sense with you guys? Okay. So this is why that's when and why I would use this versus the exclamation point. Originally, I started you guys with the dot create because it's simpler. You don't have to really worry about after you do that dot new, you have to do the dot save. It's simpler to do, it's less steps, and so for simplicity, I want you guys to do that. However, now that we're kind of getting into like, more complex or like the next steps in Rails, I want to show you guys to me what I would say is the better way in a sense. To me, this is a more production ready way to do it. There's nothing wrong with using .create, but to me, this is just a better, it's like a better handled way in a sense. So we're going to initialize it, same exact thing, just with .new and initialize it. And then we're going to check, does it save? If it does, render it. If it doesn't, give us some errors basically. And we can do something very similar in Rails console, just to show you guys. If I go into Rails console, I can go, I'm gonna do the animal equals animal.create. Let's do the dot create. Okay, cool. We can see that works properly. If I remove, and I'm gonna remove the exclamation point. I don't want that. I'm gonna remove the name because I know it's gonna fail. Okay, cool. We know it failed. Now, because I assigned it to animal, I can do animal.errors. So if I go animal.errors, we can see there's the error, or let's do errors.full messages. In Rails, we have to do .full messages. There's the actual error, errors.full messages. And I could do .full messages here as well, just to be consistent. And I'll show you. I need to turn Rails server. So the difference between using full messages or not is basically here. I'll show you this. So we can see that's what it looks like. It's an array with that error versus if I don't, we have an age and then the error. And I think this is a little bit better. That's why I didn't have it. But in Rails console, you have to do, I forgot that you have to do errors.full messages. You have to do the whole thing. Because we can see if we just do errors, it kind of gives us just this, which it doesn't actually tell us what the error is. Questions, comments about this? Solid. Okay. So I'm gonna share with you guys the syntax for the create to do proper error handling with the create. And I basically want you guys to continue. I want you guys to add this to your animals controller, but then I also want you to implement this same idea with the what's it called? Whatever other model it is that you guys have. Um, and then from there, yeah, just continue to mess around with it. See it break, see it not. Um, and I won't take too long. I'm just gonna pull Kiko into a breakout room. We're gonna go through validations real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll continue. All right, so add proper error handling for your animals controller create action instead of using the bang operator. Exercise. All right, cool. You guys are good to share your screen and try that out. And Kiko, I'm gonna pull you in a breakout room right now.